Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5 Section 4. We'll be presenting our term project analysis on the impact of COVID-19 on the business. My name is Muhammad Faiz and I'll be the first presenter. In this analysis, we will look further on the company of our choice, Rancha Delima Sdn Berhad's approach in executing its operation during the global pandemic of COVID-19. To begin, Rancha Delima is a Bumiputra-owned company in the heavy and civil engineering construction industry located in Kuantan, Pahang. The company was founded by Encik Alam Shah Muhammad Suan and has been in the industry since 1996. The company specializes in providing contractor services in the construction of highway engineering and purpose-built buildings. The client ranges from the government to private entities based on the local area. The company undertaken projects mainly on constructing residential, college and school buildings and currently participates in a tender to build 15 housing units under a collaborative project of developers Trasjaya, which was commenced in 2019. With that, the company's main activity and source of income derived from the completion of the venture projects, and also the company provides rental services of idle equipment to third party to generate other income. Rancha Delima currently employs a number of 20 employees of local and foreign staff. With the limitation of the workers, the company also collaborated with subcontractors to fulfill other construction activities such as carpentry, concreting and others. As the company employs less than 200 staff, it is categorized under small and medium enterprise. And working alongside Rancha Delima is its own subsidiary, Delima Hardware Supplies, that provide construction and building materials into the supply chain. The company operates in a highly cyclical business environment which is driven by overall economic fluctuations. The industry position was shaky since 2018, where the political turbulence occurred when the opposition won the general election. The company therefore has prepared some mitigation strategy in facing the impact. However, as the company tried to drive up from these challenges, pandemic COVID-19 hit them, which worsened the situation. As the industry was forced to halt their operation and reported a loss of 18.5 billion ringgit in 2020, Rancha Delima therefore are required to reconfigure its business to face the impacts and challenges of the COVID-19. Moving on, the COVID-19 impact that bring major changes to the business environment is relating to the movement control order regulated by the government, where it required all construction activities to be halted in order to minimize the movement and prevent the spreading of virus. Therefore, Rancha Delima has to stop its operation entirely during MCO, as working from home was not feasible due to most construction works needed to be performed on site. As a result, it has brought these 5 challenges that will jeopardize the overall company's operation. First of all, as previously mentioned, the company began to suffer decline in its financials since 2018 due to the political instability, as the company relies on government tenders. Continuing from that, COVID-19 has worsened the financial performance of the company as the company needed to shut down its operation, which means that the ongoing project of Trasjaya need to be stopped and the company could not claim and issue any billing to the client. Despite the pause on the on-site construction, the company still has to pay its obligation including staff salaries, utilities and loan payments. Consequently, the company faced further financial loss as the income received is lower than the expenses incurred. Secondly, the company faced challenges as they had to revamp its planning structure with the clients on the project deliverance as the project timelines is disrupted. The company therefore faced significant challenges with the negotiating process on the project progression. Rancha Delima as the main contractor need to receive consensus agreement for the external parties such as engineers, architects and subcontractors in regards to the cease payment, while trying to instill confidence to the developer that they would be able to resume the operation as previously planned. Furthermore, although the company allowed to resume its operation in May 2020, the 2-month suspension of the economic sector still affect the deliverance of the project, as the company need to follow SOP that reduce the working hours and limit the number of workers, which further slowed down the projects. Thirdly, during the MCO, Rancha Delima found itself in a delayed position in moving the operation as it was not fully equipped with technological usage. While work from home could not be implemented in construction working as previously mentioned, the administrative operation was also stopped as the company could not accommodate the work from home condition due to the insufficient resources to connect remotely between the staff. Hence, the limited technological capabilities of Rancha Delima has further restricted the operation of the company during this pandemic. Furthermore, the company faced difficulties in managing its supply chains. Rancha Delima nature of business depends on material supplies and expert services from multiple supply chains. These suppliers are not excluded from the pandemic impact. At first, during MCO, the government has restricted the movement of these external suppliers when no delivery work cross-country and state are allowed. Once the sector was gradually operating and the construction work was starting, Rancha Delima faced yet another challenge of supply lag, where a time lag occurs between a good and services being demanded are not fulfilled due to it could not be prepared on time by suppliers. This delayed supply has further slowed down the project advancement. Plus, Ranchang Lima started to feel pressure from the supplier regarding the payments of outstanding debt, while still struggling from the pandemic effect in the reopening of the economic sector, which further worsened the stability of the company. And lastly, the COVID-19 impact has proven that it is challenging for Ranchang Lima to control its people's well-being. When the workers are starting to resume the construction, the company is required to ensure all workers follow the SOP. As following the procedure required costs such as need to provide masks and sanitization kits, the company faced challenges in constantly providing these items due to the shortage of funds. In addition, the company finds it challenging to monitor the movement of foreign labourers outside working hours due to their lack conscience about the seriousness of COVID-19. As they are not taking this matter seriously, the company needs to further advocate and provide additional costs in order for them to follow the SOP.
Hi, my name is Nur Atira and I'm going to discuss some changes that were made by RDSB during the pandemic. The changes are in terms of financial planning, company's management and construction procedures. Firstly, in terms of financial planning, RDSB has cut off their operating expenses since the company is struggling financially. After the first lockdown, RDSB's management has held a meeting with the workers to inform them about the current condition of the company and seeks for understanding from the workers as they are unable to provide their monthly salary payment due to insufficient financial resources. However, the company has obtained the economic stimulus package provided by the government, namely Prihatin package, in terms of which subsidy amounting to 1,200 ringgit per local employee. This incentive has not only relieved the burden of the company temporarily, but it also directly reduced the operating expenses of the company. RDSB also decided to defer their loan payment by taking up the 6-month moratorium to relieve the financial burden faced by the company. Next, RDSB also restructured its management during the pandemic. This is because half of the workers have voluntarily quit from the company due to the inability to provide their monthly salary to the workers. This has caused the company to experience downsizing, which forced them to restructure. Hence, the company will need to reallocate the job with the current staff available to ensure the business continuity during the pandemic. Apart from that, RDSB also has made some changes with regards to the construction procedure, specifically in terms of project rescheduling and workplace safety compliance. The requirement and SOPs set by the government with regards to limited movement order and social distancing rules has directly affected RDSB as they need to halt their business operation temporarily, which has resulted in the delay of the project completion. Hence, this shows that project rescheduling needs to be done during the pandemic so that RDSB can comply with the government's order as well as to be able to inform the clients beforehand regarding the delay in completing the projects. Other than that, RDSB also has improved and enhanced their safety workplace compliance in which they have incorporated the requirement of wearing face masks, hand sanitizer and social distancing practice. They also strictly monitor the movement of their construction workers outside the construction site in order to avoid the risk of COVID-19 infection. All of these efforts are not only implemented to fulfill the requirements set by the government but also to take care of the well-being of the employees.
Hi, my name is Uzma and I'm going to talk about future plans of Ranchang Lima Sdn Berhad or RTSB to recover from COVID-19 pandemic. Among the plans that have been made is to reduce more overhead costs once they are able to resume their work, since overhead costs comprise a significant part in the construction business. Encik Alam Shah particularly said that it is not easy for the company to go at full speed if the industry has not yet recovered. Hence, the immediate action that they could use to reduce their overhead costs as much as possible. Apart from that, the company also plans to participate in additional construction tenders once RDSB is in a stable condition with sufficient capacity to undertake new projects. Participating in more tenders is a way to restart the business and push themselves to get away from the challenging period due to pandemic. In addition, Encik Alam Shah has decided to consider the implementation of a contract employee workforce. We plan to hire contract workers rather than permanent workers, as this will help the company to further reduce its cash outflows, specifically operating expenses, given that there are not many profits generated from the project progression due to the interference of political turbulence and COVID-19 crisis. Lastly, Encik Alam Shah also has shared a contingency plan to venture into e-commerce business through another business unit owned by him, which is Delima Hardware Supplies Sdn Berhad or DHSSB. Encik Alam Shah has decided to market and promote DHSSB's products through social media platforms such as Facebook as a way to bolster the e-commerce effort of the company. in order to benefit from the current trend of rising in online sales. In analyzing the COVID-19 impact toward Ranchang Deli Mesin Berhad situation and responses, a SWOT matrix was derived based on the information gathered during the interview session with Encik Alam Shah. As there is no available information online regarding the company, the elements of SWOT are limited and confined by the information disclosed by Encik Alam Shah. Regardless of the limitations in the comprehensiveness of the SWOT elements, those analysis was performed to develop some strategies to encounter the impacts and challenges of COVID-19 towards the company, and then it will be used in assessing the appropriateness of the company's responses in addressing the issues. So now, I will be explaining on the Taos matrix, and I will start with ESCO strategy. First, in O2, the rising of online sales open up opportunities for RDSB to gain advantage amid the pandemic. RDSB can pursue this opportunity by using one of its strengths as two of having a subsidiary Delima Hardware that majorly contribute to group profit. Currently, the e-commerce trend is growing rapidly, so Encik Alam Shah may enhance the group profit by directing Delima Hardware into e-commerce business. Moving on to the next opportunity, O1, the advent of new technology in the construction industry such as Industrialized Building System (IBS) offers comparative advantage for the construction firms. Therefore, RDSB should incorporate the new technology by using its capacity and resources as a well-established company. This is because this will help the company to enhance the quality and productivity of the construction projects. Next, being a well-experienced company with a strong relationship with subcontractors will give the opportunity for RDSB to form a strategic alliance with them to undertake new state development projects.
Next, moving on to WO strategy. As stated in W2, the limited staff available has caused difficulties for RDSB to cover all the work required to run the business operations smoothly. However, with the advent of new technology, O1, a new strategy can be derived by integrating a new clerical system that can ease the human task. This is because utilizing technology enables the limited employees to focus on their assigned tasks without having to worry about the clerical works which can be replaced by the system. Hence, it is essential for the company to invest its resources in integrating a new clerical system as it will help them to conceal the disadvantage of having less staff. As for the ST strategy, to reduce the threat of having uncertain future demands, T1, RDSB may use its identity as an experienced construction company, S1, to attract more individual clients instead of focusing on government's project only. RDSB should boost their marketing effort in targeting the individual clients, and this should be part of the company's post-pandemic recovery plans in order to ensure the continuity of the company's operation. Plus, increasing the marketing effort towards individual clients will help the company to diversify its client base, which in return will reduce the risk of instability of demand. Furthermore, the management of the company may use DHSSB, which majorly contribute to RDSB's supply chain, S2, as a medium in order to minimize the disruption in supply of raw materials in the long run. T2. They should increase the warehouse capacity of DHSSB to upgrade the safety stock level for future emergency use. This is because RDSB has experienced a disruption in its supply chain due to limited movement order imposed by the government that restrict the movement of its external suppliers, thus increasing the safety stock level of DHSSB will help RDSB to reduce the reliance on external suppliers. Lastly, for WT strategy, given that RDSB is currently overly dependent on the government's project, W1, along with the unstable future demands, T1, RDSB should expand more tender in the private sector as a way to address both issues. Overly dependent on the government's project will not be feasible for the companies in the meantime because there are limited new tenders issued by the government. This is because the government has to prioritize to boost the underperforming economy, which will take an uncertain period to recover. Hence, diversifying the tender submission in the private sector will help the company to overcome the problems of reliance on the government projects as well as uncertain future demands. In conclusion, the TAO strategies derived from this analysis provide the relevant actions that could be taken by RDSB in order to address the company situation that has been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Hence, the next section of the analysis will further compare and evaluate the appropriateness of the strategies that have been implemented by the company with the TAO strategies derived as well as the findings from article.
Moving on to the next part, which is analysis of the appropriateness of the responses. In steering this part of analysis, the COVID-19 business impact survey reported by EY was referred to be compared with the impact and challenges faced by RDSB. Then the appropriateness of RDSB's responses was assessed by referring to relevant journal articles and the derived strategies from the previous SWOT and TAO's analysis. So for the first analysis, it will be based on financial issues. The financial issues include delays in receivable, delay in payment to vendors, and declines in revenue that have been highlighted as top challenges faced by the SMEs in the UI report, are consistent with the current challenges faced by RDSB. Due to the lockdown imposed by the government, the financial condition of RDSB has been severely impacted as it has to halt its operation for some time. This has contributed to the decline in the company's revenue as RDSB fails to make claims on the ongoing projects. Another reason for the decline of sales is also because of the delay that takes place in processing the claims. The inability to generate revenue during the pandemic has resulted in the delay of the payment to the external supplier and lack of financial capability to pay the employees' salaries. RDSB was also unable to invest in technological improvement due to lack of capital. Therefore, several actions have been taken by RDSB to reduce the financial burden of the company, which include cost-cutting strategy, by substituting the monthly salary payment of the employees with the wage subsidy provided by the government. Next, RDSB also prevented from taking additional financing to reduce its future obligations and taking the moratorium program instead in order to relieve the burden of meeting the current obligations for loan repayment. According to Nguyen 2021, most firms have dominantly selected cost-cutting strategies as the responses towards the pandemic because it will have immediate effect on cost efficiency and increase the chance of survival in the industry. Apart from that, the management of the company also has ventured DHSSB into e-commerce by marketing its product through Facebook in order to gain benefit from the emergence of online sales. This is in line with one of the TAO strategies that have been mentioned earlier. Therefore, it can be deduced that the actions taken by the management are appropriate because it will help the company to sustain in the industry given the economic uncertainty.
Next, the reduction in demand has been reported as a key challenge of SMEs with respect to the client in the EY report, which have not excluded RDSB from being impacted. According to King, due to the decline of the economy, the demand for real estate have been reduced, which resulted in the reduction of the new construction projects too. The findings show consistency with the RDSB's current situation, given that it has experienced difficulty to obtain new projects and delay in the ongoing project, which contributes to the decline in sales. Regarding the fall in demand by the clients, the management of RDSB has not taken any proactive action to tackle this issue. This action seems inappropriate but acceptable as fall in demand is beyond the control of the company. However, in terms of maintaining engagement with clients, especially when dealing with delay in completing the existing projects, RDSB has put some efforts to strengthen their engagement by frequent communication through phone calls or WhatsApp to inform them regarding the delay in the projects, to provide assurance and to improve clients' confidence toward RDSB. Therefore, the actions taken by RDSB is deemed to be appropriate as it values the importance of the engagement with clients.
For technology, Rancang Delima experienced limitation in technological support to assist work from home arrangement, and this is consistent with EY survey. Although work from home option is not applicable to construction workers, it is applicable to administration. However, no action taken by the company to assist work from home arrangement as they claim to have limitation of remote connection and collaboration. This action is deemed inappropriate as the company should have temporarily utilized a basic subscription plan of simple cloud application which have collaborative features such as OneDrive and Google Drive. Besides, the company experienced difficulties in communication with external parties, which was also due to lack of proper technological system. Informal communication through phone calls and messages are used in communicating with suppliers, subcontractors, and other relevant parties. This action is appropriate but insufficient, as the company could have planned to integrate Enterprise Resource Planning (ERP) in the future. Study by Hewa Vitarana et al. Suggested that ERP plays important roles in enhancing efficient communication with external parties in the construction industry. It is understandable that this could not be implemented in this difficult time, but at least Rancang Delima should have planned to have this idea to be implemented in the future. Lastly, the company experienced insufficiency in technological infrastructure, mainly due to the highly dependent on external parties. Rancang Delima claimed that to embrace technological approach in construction operation, they cannot move alone. Support from relevant parties, especially government, engineers, and architecture are required. Because of this, no action taken by the company, and it is deemed inappropriate. The company could have planned to incorporate technological infrastructure such as IDS as derived INTOS analysis in the future by communicating with the relevant external parties regarding the importance of this technology and the company's aspiration to incorporate this system in the future. Overall, Rancang Delima has been very passive in terms of its action in technological related issue. As for supply chain, disruption due to delay in receiving supplies and fulfillment of orders faced by Rancang Delima is consistent with the impacts of COVID-19 pandemics as per EY survey. To resolve this, the company utilized Delima Hardware's remaining available supplies. This action is appropriate as Delima Hardware's role is very significant in minimizing the impact of delayed supply. Nevertheless, Delima Hardware experienced the same problem, which is disruption in supply chain, making the action of heavy reliance on current capacity of Delima Hardware to be appropriate but insufficient. Hence, Encik Alamsyah could plan to increase the capacity of Delima Hardware's warehouse in the future, as derived in the previous TOS analysis. As for the pressure from suppliers regarding the payment due, Rancang Delima requested the extension of payment from some suppliers. However, they did not request any discount as most of the suppliers were SME, which also suffered severely from this pandemic. This thoughtful action was a result of informal communication effort by Encik Alamsyah through phone calls with key suppliers. Di Paulo 2020 suggested that engaging in empathic conversation with suppliers during COVID-19 pandemic is crucial in nurturing better relations to survive in the construction industry. Hence, this action is appropriate and commended. In overall, the action of Rancang Delima is appropriate to resolve supply chain related issues. Next, in terms of people, the top challenges, which are the downtime in daily operation and delays in completing projects reported by EY survey, are aligned with the challenges faced by Rancang Delima. The company was unable to abide by the requirement of implementing daily COVID-19 screening due to lack of funds. As such, they decided to further halt the operation until the requirement is loosened. This action is appropriate as it avoids further problem of being compounded and sued, and it prevents its people from spreading the virus. Plus, the company faced problem regarding the foreign workers' lack of awareness on the needs of abiding SOP. Admitting the importance of health precaution during pandemic, the company distribute masks and hand sanitizers to the labourers camp while tightening the security to prevent unauthorized persons from trespassing into the construction site. However, Rancang Delima's approach of merely depending on individuals' workers' self-care without any stringent monitoring is deemed insufficient and less appropriate. An article by Code Blue 2021 reported that construction sites ranked third as the most contributing sector of COVID cluster in Malaysia, signalising the need of abiding SOP even inside the construction site. As such, Rancang Delima should communicate with the workers regularly to create awareness regarding the needs of following SOP. By doing so, their well-being could be monitored and sustained. Overall, the company's action related to its people is appropriate, but communication part need to be improved to create awareness. Concluding from this analysis, some of the actions done by Rancang Delima were appropriate in addressing the challenges faced during the pandemic. However, there is always room for improvement. Although most of the actions are unattainable at the moment, Rancang Delima can always start with planning by having aspiration to grow and recover in the future.
Based on all the analysis done, we have developed some relevant recommendations for RDSB to consider for the next 1 to 3 years as a part of the recovery plans. Firstly, to enhance the financial situation of the company, the management may use the capacity and resources of DHSSB to bolster e-commerce efforts. This is because of the increase of online sales during the pandemic. Hence, online retail platform will be an effective medium for the company in order to survive amid pandemic. In addition, by steering DHSSB towards establishing e-commerce business, will be able to help the company to make money during the crisis, which in return will improve the group profit as a whole. Furthermore, the strategy is also favorable for DHSSB as there is a surge in demand for DIY home improvement projects. Therefore, DHSSB may take this opportunity to market its product through various online platforms without being limited to only Facebook in order to boost its sales during the crisis. However, before establishing the e-commerce business, the management must prepare employees with necessary skill sets. So next, RDSB should increase its marketing effort toward individual clients. In order to appear more attractive towards the individual customers, RDSB should showcase its appearance effectively as a well-established company with 25 years experience so that it can convince the clients to hire its services. This can be done by establishing its online presence so that it can market itself to a larger population without being restricted to Pahang population only. RDSB may gather positive testimonials from the previous clients who are satisfied with its services in order to prove itself as an expertise in the construction industry. This strategy will also help RDSB to diversify its customer base and minimize the risk of being impacted by the reduction in the number of projects given by the government.
Lastly, in order to conceal the company's major weakness due to being overly dependent on a government project, RDSB should expand more tender submission in the private sector. This action is to be taken immediately to prepare the company from the unforeseen situation as the sudden reduction in the economic activity has put severe stress on the infrastructure sector. This has been reported by OECD Policy 2020. Therefore, there is a need for RDSB to shift towards the private sector instead of relying on government's construction projects, which are definitely risky as the government need to prioritize the recovery of the economy and maintaining the public services before being able to issue any new construction project. RDSB can penetrate into private sector tender by building relationships with potential buyers, reviewing advertisement in local newspapers, and networking with other business owners. Next, RDSB needs to ensure that they submit a unique offering and try to make the bid stand out by using their proven experience and successful projects previously to set them apart from other competitors. This is to assure that RDSB can demonstrate their capabilities in securing a new project in the private sector.
As for the long term, Rancangan 5 could implement some of these improvements for the next 3 to 10 years with the expectation that this pandemic will come to an end. However, if the pandemic prolonged more than this duration, the company could undertake these recommendations to prepare for the worst case scenarios. First, to remain as the key players in the industry here, Rancangan 5 could pursue a vertical integration strategy on forming a strategic alliances with its subcontractors to undertake upcoming projects. Rancangan 5's strength of having over 25 years of experience could be integrated with subcontractor skills and expertise on mutually beneficial projects while retain its independence. Rancangan 5 would then be able to participate in many projects upon expansion of alliances resources and further elevated the tender submission quality to the clients. Secondly, Rancangan 5 could further invest its operation in technology and digitization systems. The existence of technology in the construction industry would allow the company to increase their production capabilities, enhance collaborative works, and tackle more complex projects. Based on the TAUS analysis, Rancangan 5 could adopt a new technology of Industrialized Building System (IBS). IBS is a construction system that uses prefabricated components manufactured off-site, then transported to the site to be fully assembled. The fabricated components are manufactured mechanically in the factory by using machines or formworks. The presence of IBS would help the company to reduce costs because the project can be delivered faster due to the construction period on site being shortened, requiring less labor and fewer construction wastages on site due to the components being pre-manufactured.
Next, the company should reduce the over-dependency on human manual works. This could be achieved by investing in the integration of new clerical systems that can ease human tasks such as robotic process automation (RPA) to replace the repetitive nature of the work. For instance, admin staff could rely on RPA for repetitive admin works including billing management, completion progress database, as well as site cost monitoring. With this automation, excessive time for admin staff to work on the site and office could be avoided. This could be further enhanced with the adoption of remote collaboration application which enable staff to work anywhere including their home. In the long run, the company could avoid halting its progression entirely during the unprecedented events. Last but not least, Encik Alamsyah should consider the plan to increase the Delima Hardware's warehouse capacity to upgrade the safety stock level for the future emergency users. As integrating Delima Hardware operation into Rancang Delima supply chain is the key advantage of both companies, upgrading the warehouse capacity could prevent any disruption in Rancang Delima supply chain, while reducing the opportunity cost and risk of failure of Delima Hardware to meet customer demands. Plus, in embracing the e-commerce effort, the demand of the supply is expected to be increased gradually. Hence, in the long run, Encik Alamsyah should increase the warehouse capacity for the sake of growth in both Delima Hardware and Rancang Delima business operation. That's all from us. Thank you.